Santos rides a hero bold, in the shadows lurking, but his heart pure gold. Fighting crime and chaos in his custom patrol car. Every night danger's lights shine like a star. They call him Danger for his daring stance, with a heart full of hope and a will to advance. He's the shield for the weak and the brave in the night. In the wild streets of Los Santos, he's the fearless knight.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Submersive Podcast, Episode 2. We're joined here today by my co-host, Mindless Kills, and our very special guest, a member of the community, a member of the Submersive community at that, Assassin Hero 181, a.k.a. Luke Stevens, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
What up, buddy?
We are so excited to have you. This is going to be
I'm excited to
very
be here.
awesome.
Appreciate you being here.
First thing I want to say is welcome to the podcast. And the next thing I want to say is that Luke here has been a very special member of our community for a very long time. He joined way back in the day when the city first started, when we were still playing 5M and we were still Submersive Roleplay. And he was there before we took over and started actually running most of the city ourselves before our dev came around, which we explained in the last episode, and before we actually learned anything about 5M. We both started around the same time for gaming and learning about how to play 5M, learning how to roleplay. We kind of started together and grew off of each other because we were very collaborative and we worked very well together. So we kind of play off of each other a lot. So you're going to see a lot of that during this episode with us playing off of each other in terms of talking. But I mostly want to say that for Luke being here, you've been around for a long time, and you're one of the guests that we wanted to have on first because we play games with you every day. I mean, we talk with you all the time. You're always around. You're in all the Discords. I mean, there's almost not a chance where we get to be a part unless we're fucking super hard working. So we are so glad to have you, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Heck yeah, brother. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is Luke Stevens stories. The OG man himself, the cop, the man with the mutton chops, rolling around, living his life.
So, what do you want to know? Like, you want to know where the inspiration came from, or just how he came about?
So, the first part of that is I want to know what got you into gaming originally, because that's my first question before we lead into 5M. I can't wait for the Luke Stevens stories, but I want to know what got you into actually gaming.
So, back years ago, I had an uncle, and he's the one that got me into gaming. We used to play a bunch of games together, old retro games. He's the one that bought me my first handheld little retro, like Nintendo. He gave me my first console. It was an old style PS2. That was the first ever console that I owned. And then from there, I've been gaming ever since. My biological dad he was a gamer as well, so gaming was always in the household.
That's really cool, man. If I'm gonna be honest, I feel you on that. My uncles got me into gaming. Mindless's brother was the one that really got me into gaming. My dad played a lot of games, but his brother was... I'd always go hang out at their house on the weekends because my dad worked with my grandfather a lot, and he had a PlayStation 2 at the time, and then he got an Xbox, and then he got a PlayStation 3, and those were a lot of the first consoles that I played on with him because I didn't really have my own. I had a PlayStation 2 at first, and I had a Game Boy handheld console that I played a lot of Pokemon on, but I feel that PlayStation 2 was like the starting mark for me. And I know we're both around the same age, so the PlayStation was just an iconic gaming console. It's one of the greatest.
It was the old brick OG PlayStation 2s, and then my first ever upgrade after that was the Slim Edition, the Silver Slim Edition.
The Slim Edition, yeah. I had a Slim Edition first because that was what my dad got around the house, and then my aunt actually had a big brick one that she brought and left over there, and it had Pac-Man Racing on it, and I loved Pac-Man Racing, dude. I played that. I played one of the original Ghost Recons on there. There's just so many
Yep.
good games to
Same.
play. On
Spyro. I was into
Spyro was
Spyro,
so
dude.
good.
Me
And
and my wife bought the trilogy when it came out for PC just so we
yeah.
could play it again.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah, they remastered it. It's pretty good.
So many good games. But yeah, basically, I wanted to talk to you about this because for all of us, I know we've played a lot of video games over the years, and it's just neat to look at what the starting point from where we all started up was at. Like, we both played on PlayStation. I know Mindless was
Yep.
around
Bro.
before that,
Now,
before
now
PlayStation came out.
PlayStation though wasn't my first console
I was
that I played on.
original Nintendo, bro.
Yep, Nintendo
I was my
64.
first console ever.
Mario 64
My
was the
second
first ever
console,
like game that I
my
played.
second console I ever owned was a Sega Genesis.
Sega.
Yeah.
I had a Sega. Yep, Genesis. Yep, the handheld ones. Yep,
So
I had
and
one of
then
those, the big bricks ones.
yeah, and then after that I was hooked, and it just I pretty much from the regular Nintendo to my PC I've owned everything in between.
I didn't even play on a Nintendo 64 until I was like 13
I'm
because my
talking
dad never even had one.
64.
I didn't play on Nintendo 64 until they were outdated. I didn't play on them until they were being sold cheap at at a dollar game store, where you could just buy all that stuff off the shelf for basically nothing. And
Mario
The
and
I had a
first,
lot of fun
Duck Hunt.
on it.
That was my first
yeah, the
game.
first time that I played the Nintendo, yeah, that's what I played was Mario 64.
Mario
The game
64 is
back in the
so
day,
good.
dude. I thought the graphics wasn't going to get any better than that. That was like the peak of graphics.
Bro.
Old school. But yeah, so on the topic of consoles, kind of segueing here, when did you get your first PC to actually play PC, Steam games, Epic games, like all of that? Because I don't know how long it's been for you, but I know it hasn't been very long for me. I've only had it for like half a decade.
It hasn't been long for me either. I actually built my PC first ever. I never bought one and stuff. So my PC was kind of a work in progress for about a year. A buddy of mine that we was playing Xbox every day, playing For Honor and stuff. One day that he sold his Xbox and bought a PC and stuff. So I decided to go ahead and sell my Xbox and start buying the PC parts and stuff as well. So the girl that I was with at the time, her sister had a old stored in her closet. So I paid her $200 for it and started just stripping it down, rebuying all new parts and stuff. And about 6 months later is when I was able to load a game up. It was garbage though. It was a crappy graphics card. It was like a 970 or 560. I had a terrible CPU in it. It was terrible all around. And then I've slowly been upgrading. I had I had a 1.2 power supplies powering it.
I
I had them
remember,
spliced
I
in
remember
together.
that PC.
Yes,
You had it spliced together, and you had
yes.
two power
Caught
supplies
fire.
running everything
Yes,
because they were both really low, but together they were
yeah.
actually really good.
I had a 450 watt and a 500 watt,
Yeah.
and my PC required at least 800, around 800. Yeah, I spliced them two together and it ran it. Caught fire one day, but it still ran it.
I was about to say, Luke Stevens is our resident tech guy for the most part because he does know a lot about building PCs, and he's
Yeah.
worked with a lot of software and a lot of hardware. Personally, the first PC I ever bought was I went and got it from Rent-A-Center, and it was just a cheap gaming PC. And I was working with Mindless on the road at the time when I bought it, and I took that fucking thing everywhere with me. That PC traveled the entire United States. It went from east to west coast. I took it everywhere, playing games and stuff on it because I needed something to play on, and we were doing a lot of PC gaming at the time. My dad had a PC for like 5 years, 6 years before I did, and he played on console a lot, but he mostly wanted a PC for the longest time just because he preferred playing with his buddy on there. So I didn't really have the chance to ever build my first PC until a couple of years ago, and I still could not tell you a fucking thing about building a computer. We always go to Luke.
It's it's complicated, man. Building PCs is it's not it's like a car, dude. It's a headache. Like
Yeah.
one little small thing can go wrong, and you could think that it's something, but it's not. It's this. I just if I had my choice, I would have never built one. I would have rather just paid for one. I just didn't have the money like that at the time.
No, I understand you. I mean, hell, we still have problems with our PCs all the time. Graphics cards problems and hoping our RAM's running properly because those things are always a bitch and a half. Fucking CPUs are a lot easier to work with nowadays, but you got to have a good one to actually get it to do the shit you want it to do. And it's just a hassle all the way around. And I know your PC is I mean, you have so much fucking storage on your PC. You could be hiding shit in there that you wouldn't find for a decade.
I have uh, 5 hard drives.
Yeah.
2 of which are M.2s, SSDs.
Yeah.
The rest are all hard drives. And yeah, the D drive is just strictly for like storage for videos and stuff because it's a terabyte. I have about 3 terabytes worth of storage. So
This man's PC is. He says it's trash, but really,
it's not.
it's
I've
fucking
got a
really good.
1650. I have a 10400 i5. The motherboard is a Bazooka B460, I believe. It's a mid tier. It's a mid. To be honest, I'm surprised it's handling streaming the way it is.
Yeah, it's been doing pretty good. I mean, like I said, we
Yeah,
have
I'm
issues
surprised
with it and
about it.
shit.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
every now
with
and
it.
then.
But yeah,
Hey, I'll take it. It works.
I know that for us, since we're always playing games, computers are a massive deal for us, and especially when we were playing 5M, because it's so hard to get into cities sometimes when they have so many assets that we can set our stuff on one thing in one city and go to the next fucking city, and we can't drive because we're lagging or we're falling through the map or fucking shit's glitching in our eyes. We have to turn our graphic settings up, down, fucking extend your budget up, down, and just constantly fucking with it. And I know
Yeah,
that's always an issue.
I remember when I first joined. The day I dropped into Submersive, the first person I met was actually Mr. Dwayne right there.
Yep.
Mr.
Yes,
Dwayne was the one
sir.
that explained to me how to go through and set up my fix my voice chat and stuff so I could talk and stuff, and also how I had to relog and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Mindless was the very first one I met on.
yeah, and you've been around since God. When we first created Submersive after moving from another city that we were in, we ended up meeting. I told this on the last podcast. We ended up meeting you. We ended up meeting Jenga, and we ended up meeting Feelsby. And
Yeah,
us three were kind of running everything for a while there because Feelsby was head of the police department at the time because
yep,
nobody else wanted to be police.
yep,
Jenga started the first mechanic shop in the city and opened it up. And then you joined the city, and it was around the same time as Jenga because Feelsby was one of the people that
yep.
helped start it.
I
And
know. I know. When I first joined, I did open up Best Buds.
yeah, you wanted to open a weed store there because that
Yeah,
was something that I don't remember if you seen it on a video, a YouTube video that you were watching or whatever.
it
But
was a yeah, it was a video.
I was about to say because I remember you wanted to do that and it was like an idea that you
Oh,
had in
oh,
your
oh
head.
no. It was a T-shirt
It
that
was
I
a
seen
T-shirt.
over in down in South Carolina when I was down there for a little bit. There was a shop boardwalk. You could walk by and they would have custom shirts. One of the shirts that they had on there was a leaf that had Best Buds on it. And I fell
Yeah,
in love with it ever since. Yeah, and I wanted to shop for it.
and that was kind of what set us off on wanting to do our own thing because the police department was super buggy and Feelsby hated it, and we could never get anything running right. And then I had issues with the vehicle dealership, and we were creating Best Buds and we dropped in an MLO for it, and it was absolutely fucking garbage. And Jenga was trying to get the engine swap script to work, and it was to the point where me and you and Jenga had decided we need to see if we can figure out how to fix this. And you guys were like, well, let's ask the dev. And we kept asking him to fix shit, and he wouldn't do anything.
Yep.
And
Oh, you're talking about the the automotive place?
yeah,
Yeah.
we had Benny's, and Benny's had the engine swapping script in it, and it worked sort of, but it was kind of shit, and there was stuff in the wrong spots, and there was a lot of bugs with it. But we had decided that because the dealership was the main thing that was broken, no one could even get cars to swap because the dealership didn't work, and our dev at the time was just not. He wouldn't do anything. We were paying him like
I don't even.
$200 a month, and he came in and like half-ass fixed stuff, and we couldn't get it to work the way he had fixed it. And he was trying to swap things in and out, and we were like, "No, we want this. We need it because this is what we paid for. Can
Yeah.
we get you to fix it?" And he just wouldn't. So you guys asked me if I had access to the files because you knew stuff about computers and files, and
A little bit. Yeah.
I
I used to do a
opened
little bit
it
of it back
and
then.
tried to show you guys on Discord, and it just was like, what the fuck is this? And that's where we kind of took off on like, well, let's see what we can figure out. And we ended up going through 204 at the time and
Yep.
trying to get him to show us the vehicles, and that's what led you into building cars.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
my segue for this is, when did you find out about 5M to come to our city to help us start it and for us to grow?
So back in the day, the buddy that I was talking about, I used to play games with all the time. This is I consider him pretty much a brother to me. We've been friends for almost going on 10 years now. He's the one that got me into it. The first time that we started building PCs and stuff, we actually joined a city in the very beginning. It was called Pathfinder,
Yep.
and we went in that city, but it was garbage. The cops didn't care. Like
As per
there was one
usual.
part where there was one part where like one of the rules was you wasn't allowed to like spawn kill people. Like if they come out of the hospital, you're not allowed just to roll up on them while they're coming out of the hospital and killing you. And that's what they was doing because we was taking over their turf, selling them their turf, and starting shit with them over Twitter and stuff. And they kept doing it, and then the cops showed up, and we were like, hey, like, what are we supposed to do? And the cops shot me in the head and drove off. So I was like, all right, that's my time to leave.
Sounds
So
like what
that's when I
happens
left.
to Luke Stevens, man. I tell you, you have the
Yeah,
worst of luck with that shit. Like I swear to God, every
I
time.
left. I left that server. I never joined any other server until I met Submersive. So I joined Submersive.
Yeah, and it was a stroke of luck that you found us because we were really small at the time, and the only
I
thing.
honestly don't remember how I found you. I don't remember if I was browsing or if I seen it.
Well, Jenga, I know, found us because I was using the engine swap script and trying to make TikToks because TikTok was just becoming popular, and there was a lot of people I knew in real life that were posting TikToks and they were posting dumb shit.
Oh, I think it may have been TikTok. I
And
think it may have been.
I had made a TikTok of the engine swap where I took the Elegy, the Skyline, and I
Mm,
swapped an engine to it and made like a whole little video where I cut it up to each part where it was just a crappy rusty car livery on it, and I took it in and washed it up, put a new engine in it, painted it, and then brought it out and then drove it down the highway and was like, yes, this video is actually super cool. I'm proud of it. And Jenga ended up finding us on there and was like, hey, what city are you in? And I posted on there that we were in Submersive RP to find us on the page, and he can find our Discord link in my TikTok bio. And he
yeah.
joined, and then Fieldsby ended up talking with him at first and met him in the city because he joined like that day. As soon as he
Mm.
seen that I had posted it on there, he went and jumped in the city. And I swear it was like the same day, if not like a day after that, you were in there, and Mindless ran into you, and I wasn't really around at the time. But when I did end up meeting you, I was flying around as an admin and doing shit, and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the day I met you. I was the very first day I met you. I asked you for the R34.
yeah,
The
yeah,
very
and
first day.
it was one of those things that was already in the city because the things that
I
Smitty
just
did do, we
remember.
had to spawn in, so it was just spawned in and given, and I think we took admin
Yeah,
money for it. And we
I
just was like, hey, if you can just make the money and pay us, we'll just throw it in a random bank account.
I remember whenever I came in, we were over at Garage A, which was the Legion Square garage at the time, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but someone told me that it was you that was the head admin or whatever. And that's when I went up to you and I was like, hey, listen, I just, there's a particular car that I love. And if it's in the city and it's, locked or whatever, that's fine. But if I can get access to it, I want it.
I think
And you
that's
were
because
like,
you'd
yeah,
seen it. I think you'd seen it from
yeah,
Pathfinder, and I
yes,
know you love Fast and Furious, and
yep,
it just happened to be in the city.
yep. And you were like, it's broken though. And I was like, trust me, I'm not going to abuse it.
Yeah, it was because we didn't know shit about fixing cars, and it was stupid fast at the time. Like
Yeah.
it fucking went like 300
It didn't
miles
have a
an
horn.
hour. It didn't have a
It didn't have a
horn.
horn.
It
It
didn't
had
have any of
nitrous
that
for a
shit.
horn.
It was fucking
you would
busted.
you'd go 0 to 6. You'd go like 0 to 100 into a wall in seconds.
Yeah, it was stupid, and it took us a long time to figure out how to fix that too.
Yeah. I had to tear it apart.
But yeah, on that, like we've known you for so long now that there's so many stories we could go over on this
Oh yeah.
because
What I want to know what inspired the Musty Marrow.
The musty marrow. Okay.
I
So
want to know about the Musty Marrow.
the musty marrow, my dad had an old vehicle back in the day. It was a Plymouth Roadrunner that he cut the back of I can't remember, but I think it was either a Charger or a Challenger. And he took the front of the Plymouth Roadrunner and put it on there. And that's what he called it. Well, he didn't call it that, but he called it like, whatever name it was for what he combined it with. And once I seen that, I fell in love with it, especially the Plymouth Roadrunners.
Right.
And I decided one day, it was actually about 2 weeks after that, I was talking to Dad, and I was going to see if he could buy these two cars so that way he could put, cut some more stuff up because I wanted to see it. But it was I think it was a 60s or 50s model Mustang, and I think it was the 60s model Camaro. Or no, it was yeah, I think it was the 60s model Camaro. It was one I can't remember exactly, but yeah, that's what inspired it was my dad. He back in the day he used to make a bunch of stupid stuff. He would cut off stuff, fix stuff. It was just one of those things.
Because I remember you got into the Z modeler and building cars and stuff for the city, custom cars and stuff, and then
Hmm.
just one day you just flew by me and was like, "Yo, check this out."
The
I was,
Mustang Mariner.
dude, it was like the most custom ass car I'd ever seen
Yeah, it
at the
was one of
time,
the
for
hardest
sure.
at that time. At that time, designing the Mustang Mariner was one of the most challenging things, like for me building cars, because just trying to cut the body, cutting the body off is one thing, but when you have to make sure you take the engine as well, or else it's not going to do all that. And then you got to pull all the textures out, make sure all the textures are correct, all that stuff.
Blending the
It gets
body is
into
so
Right,
hard.
right.
gets into tedious. So I'm glad it turned out the way that it did when I had it. I mean, obviously it was busted and it was, but
Right.
hey,
No,
that thing was sweet though.
it was pretty dope,
It
honestly.
was pretty sweet. And since we're
And I think I
on,
had Kyle make the custom badge for it. I think you're the one that made the.
I think,
You actually threw it in 3D Blender and you
yeah,
made Mustang Arrow.
yeah, we took the text and converted it to
Yep,
a Z,
a
or
Z3D,
I think it was, yeah, a
I think.
Z3D file, and then we took it into Blender and we blew it up and made it into like actual 3D
Yep,
model badges and exported it out and gave it its own texture. And you made it glow and
yep,
everything too with
yep,
LED looking lights and shit.
yep.
It was emissive and
Emissive
all
lights.
that. So while we're on the topic of development, I know originally what had started us was obviously the city being broken, and then we learned how to do stuff. And originally we had learned from 204 Dude how to go in and model cars, and he basically told us that he couldn't teach us anything and just to grab shit and run with it
Yeah,
and just fucking do whatever we
I know
wanted.
where you're going with this.
And we basically sat down and opened Z Modeler, and I grabbed a vehicle that I wanted to work on, and Luke grabbed a vehicle that he wanted to work
Yep.
on. And he had this idea that he got from Demo Ranch for a Plymouth Barracuda
Yep.
that was jacked the fuck up off the ground
I remember
and
that car
had
too.
these big ass, gigantic ass fucking tires on it, and it was a
Two big ass
diesel
dualies on the back.
monster fucking menace to society. And he ended up modeling that almost completely by himself. He modeled the entire car. I
No,
came through and helped
it
him.
was. I actually did model that
Yeah,
whole entire body.
I was about to say, you modeled everything on that car, and I pretty much did the coding for it at the time
Yep.
because
Yep.
I know it rolled on every fucking corner for the longest
It was
time. Like, we
broken,
couldn't
but
figure
yeah,
out
you
why
couldn't
it
drive
was
it.
so top heavy. You just couldn't drive it, and it was a nightmare. But yeah, Luke here took. I think you spent a total of probably like 100 to 200 hours working on that car
It took me
altogether.
about 2 years. Two
Yeah, it
years.
took 2 years of sitting down and fucking with it before we finally got it close to where we wanted. And then we ended up
I
losing the
think.
files on it and had to restart from a position where we had been working on it. It was like backtracking,
Yeah,
like six
it was
months
like
of work.
I was gonna say it was a couple months of backtrack.
Yeah, it was awful.
But to be fair though, that 6 months of backtrack helped me out because a lot of stuff that was messed up in the beginning of it, uh, it would have been more work to try to undo that and then refix it than it would be just to fix it from where I was reset back to.
Yeah,
So getting reset back kind of helped me a little bit, but yeah, it sucked whenever we lost the good save. But I will say that they're close to the end. I think we had everything fixed on it besides the. I think we had the engine fixed and everything, didn't we? I think the only thing that was wrong with it was the glass.
the glass was the only thing that was left broken on it, and
Yeah.
there was a few textures that worked, but they weren't what they were exactly supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you couldn't
I
really
yeah.
you wouldn't have been able
yeah,
to
I
tell
couldn't
except for us who had devved on it for so long and had the the
Yeah, and that was
textures
a
in
custom
front of
submersive
us.
car anyways. That would have never went anywhere.
Yeah, it
It
would have.
was going to be submersive all the way.
Yeah,
And
it was a personally built one of one car that is
yep.
still the only one in existence.
And the body aspect though, talking about rebuilding the body. The only reason I say that is because I took the regular 71 CUDA and I tore the whole bottom frame out, everything. I was going to throw in it because the way that he did it on Ranch was he threw in a Gen 1's Cummings frame.
Mhm.
And we didn't have that, so we threw on just the truck frame and stuff.
Yeah,
But we
we
did
had
throw
a
in a diesel
lifted
Cummins
truck
engine.
frame that we had gotten from another vehicle that we kind of stole it off of, and which we did with a lot of our
Still one of
parts,
our
to be
vehicles.
honest. Not one of our greatest character traits was stealing
Yeah.
vehicle parts,
Yeah,
but we made some
but
really cool shit with it.
some of the vehicles, I think the truck that we pulled it off of was a truck that we bought.
Yeah, I think it was because there
I
was a
think it was
lot
a
of
truck that we
stuff that
bought for
we.
Jingo.
Yeah, it was stuff that was purchased, and a lot of it was just like Tool
Reacts.
4 gave us the tires for it, and the engine we got out of a free model of a different
He
truck that
also
we ended
didn't.
up finding. And the frame came off of another truck, and the interior came off of something else because we ended up putting all new seats in it.
Yeah,
And
the interior, the back seats were the same. I threw in a roll cage that I stole off of a buggy, and the seats I'm pretty positive I stole out of a Nova.
yeah, it was the Nova because we had to go back and find it not that
Yep,
long ago. And
yep. It was one of those drag racing ones.
it went from a pretty basic Plymouth Cuda 71 that didn't really have a bottom on it. It was pretty much just a flat piece with a texture over it. The engine bay had an engine in it, but it was terrible and it looked super bad, and we replaced it. We replaced the entire interior. I say we, but I mean you. I mean,
Yeah.
I helped a little bit
I mean,
along
you
the way
helped
with textures and stuff,
you helped me with the
but
on some of the body
you
parts
did
and stuff.
99% of the modeling all yourself, and that was what really took off for me learning how to design cars was helping you. And I got to the point where I was pretty decent at it too, which is how
Yeah,
we ended up finishing it in the first place, was us collaborating on doing it.
yeah. You went through. You sat down one day. I told you that I really needed to get a handle on what's going on with the textures. So you took the time out. You spent down. You started doing research and all that stuff, and you found out what was the textures. Or you learned a little bit more about the textures, and then me and you sat down one day and we just fucking butted two heads together and we got it done.
We slammed our two
The
brain
body
cells
though,
together and made a fire, and we got down to business.
the body though, what I was also going to say is the body was tedious though because even after I pulled the 71 CUDA body out by itself, I had to go in and split the whole back end up.
Yeah,
I had to
I
I had to
remember it.
extend the ass end out so that way we could fit dualies in it without it looking stupid. Because them at Ranch, he never did any body work. He did it a little bit. He flared out the back fenders a little bit, but he only had just a jacked up frame with 4 tires.
Yeah, I remember it.
It was my idea to throw in dualies on the back of it, and that's why I had to make the ass end wider. So pretty much from the middle of the doors all the way back, all that body I had to redo.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember you spent so long on it, like trying to get all the little
Yeah.
pixels right, cutting
Yep.
pieces out and putting them in, and then blending them together,
Yep.
putting the textures on those blended pieces and
Yeah, I
trying to
had to
smooth them
patch it.
out. Yeah, the patchwork on it was great. It looked really good by the time you were done. Like you could hardly tell. Like if you caught it in just the right light, sometimes there's a little bit of a
Yeah.
reflection, but nobody else knew that except for us. You could not fucking tell. Like it's just one of those things that it's in the eye of the creator that they can see the little bitty flaws in the stuff that
It was
we
fun.
train
I
our eyes
enjoyed
to
it.
see.
I miss the car. I wish there was a way for me to pull it out and fucking put it somewhere. But
Drive it around and shit.
yeah,
It'd be
well,
so
not even
nice.
really drive it around. Just like have it as a like a memento.
Like a
type thing.
memento,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like something on your
but
shelf or something.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making that. I enjoyed making all the other vehicles and stuff. I loved it. It
I
was
was about to
fun.
say, I feel you, dude. I went so heavy into the graphic design side of things and the coding to make everything unique
Yeah,
because
coding. That was,
the coding was so difficult, but it was also so much fun because we could make whatever we wanted. It didn't it didn't matter. We had people tell us
and
all
if
the
we didn't know
time.
how, we made sure to look up and see how.
Yeah, we messed with so much stuff. We had one of the most advanced police scripts and police
Oh
systems
man,
in any city ever. We had fucking we were borderline a real police station with the amount of resources that we had just being police. And then the crim side of things, dude, we were still discovering shit that we didn't even know existed years down the road with the same
Yep.
script in the city for the longest time. We'd be like, what the fuck is this? Where did this come from? And someone would call me over and be like, what's this? I'd fly over there and admin and be like, I don't know, let me look it up real quick. And I'd fucking sit down and have to dig through all the files to be like, apparently it's this that we didn't fucking know. And it's been there forever. It's just, it's so much like that.
I remember when you were also talking about the pretty much same stuff whenever we was digging through files and stuff. We would also fly around the map and find stuff that was hidden.
The black hole, the fucking black hole in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
There would just be, yeah.
Dude, there was just like stuff everywhere. And I'm not gonna lie, I think that has to tie in with why games run so bad. Is because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get you putting stuff underneath the map to hide it out of view.
But
or
it's
whatever.
still a resource.
But unless
still
it has,
being used.
unless it has a purpose later on, like, oh, if this tree gets knocked down, then this tree will, whatever. Unless it has a purpose, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It should not be there.
That's a big thing that we've learned over the years from doing development and coding and 3D modeling work, is that we kind of get the understanding for most games and most bugs and little bitty flaws here and there, and understanding how a game actually works becomes so much easier to us from actually working on a game. And I understand we didn't make GTA 5 and we didn't make 5M, but we ran stuff in there that was borderline running our own game with a base set of files. Like, everything that was in GTA was pretty much a frame for what we built off of it, and we built fucking skyscrapers of new shit on top of that frame and that base, and we really took it off. So, in speaking of taking it off and talking about what all we have designed and created, I want to talk about some of your more well-known characters that played in Submersive and used a lot of the stuff that we did create, especially heavily entertaining characters like Peter Griffin or Bobby Carr, and especially Luke Stevens, because boy did we get a kick out of doing some of the most wild, fucking, ridiculously funny shit as those characters.
I honestly didn't think Luke Stevens was going to stick like that.
I didn't for Kyle Danger either, and I mean, he's literally the face of this podcast now. So, I mean, I totally understand. He's supposed to be a One Life character that lived. So, who do you want to start with?
So, let's get the easiest one out of the way, which is Bobby Carr.
That was a goofy-ass character.
Bobby Carr is going to be the easiest. Bobby Carr, there was no inspiration, really. It was just one day I came up with a voice, and I was just being stupid, and I was like, listen, I want Bobby to become a police officer. And you were like, I don't know about that. And I was like, listen, you can't deny him. He's got special needs. He's special.
It was like a perfect role play aspect of not being in role play, but like having this idea, like if he comes up in role play, you're pretty much gonna have to roll with it.
Yeah,
you have no choice.
He didn't give a shit what kind of scene you were in or not. If he came into the scene, you had to play a scene with him, because he was not a good cop either. He was
a terrible fucking cop.
I remember we dug through for a while trying to find him a good vehicle, because I didn't want to be on a bike or nothing.
Yeah.
And we found, what was that? Like a tricycle?
It was a fucking little toy car. It looked like it was supposed to be for a child. And it was just a little plastic-looking toy car that stood 2 inches off the ground. It was up to your character's knees tall, with a tiny little seat in it. And Bobby was a fatter character. He was more plump. He was a fat character. So when he sat in the top of it, he muffin topped out of the top of the car, and it had a little trailer that tugged behind it, and it had full-on police lights and little sirens and shit. And you just rolled it. It whipped too, dude. It went 50 miles an hour, because I didn't ever adjust it just so you could keep up with a car if it was trying to run away, so you wouldn't get completely lost. And that thing was
I wouldn't have cared.
It was just so goofy.
Just driving that thing behind somebody for a couple of seconds would all I would have needed.
It was just such a good goofy character, and I love goofy, just shitlord RP kind of characters that aren't there for necessarily
Yeah,
trolling
like Corey.
or doing anything like that. It's just a character that's funny and goofy, and it's not necessarily serious RP, and it's not even that you're in the character. It's that you're just there to have a good
Yeah,
time
just have fun.
and
Just
have
have
fun
fun.
with people. And that's like my favorite part of characters like that. Like Corey Fitzgerald for me
Yep,
was a
that's what I was
character
gonna say.
that I
Corey
played.
Fitzgerald.
Then
I
he
still
had
love
no
Corey.
purpose. He had no purpose. He didn't have anything to do. He didn't have a job. He never went out and did anything. He just followed people around and asked them if they wanted to see pictures that he had in his pocket
It was
because we
bad.
figured out how to make pictures on the
Yep,
printer.
And his
And
teddy bear.
yeah,
yep.
and my teddy bear that was literally covered in shit because I found it in a fucking dumpster and it was just covered in feces and I just carried
But
it
yeah,
around
yeah.
everywhere.
Bobby never really had any inspiration. Though he was just a voice that I came up with one day, and I wanted to see where I could go with it.
Was that when we seen the cop character that was walking down the road and he was the fat guy with the cop shirt on and the hat
Yes,
and you were
yes.
like, "Oh my
I
gosh, look
wanted.
at this guy." And you just made a voice for him while we walked around on the street and just followed the
Yep,
character
Officer
around
Bobby with one for duty. Yep.
cuz I'm pretty sure you were playing Luke and I was playing Kyle. We were just driving around cuz nobody was in the city and we just came across him and was like, "What the fuck are you doing over here? You're slacking on the job. Why are you walking
Yeah,
around?" And
'cause I honestly didn't know that there was peds in the city that had that outfit on. They were
yeah,
like uniformed cops.
and he was just walking around like
And I'm
casually.
pretty sure we found that exact ped for Bobby.
We did,
But
and
we
we ended
also
up
found
modeling him his own shirts and
yep,
shit so that way you
yep,
could
own
play
shirts
him.
and hats and shit like yep.
And it was great
He's a
because
good character.
when you played as Luke, you could actually run into Bobby because he was walking around on the streets
Yeah.
as an NPC
Yep.
sometimes. So you could just walk up and be like talking in your Luke voice and then transition to your Bobby voice.
Yeah.
And we could just follow him around and fuck off because he's just walking down the street and you just happen to see him. So it's one of those things that's like super fun and goofy. Now, before
Bobby
we
was
go
good.
too far into Luke, I want to talk about Peter because you played Peter like religiously. Like I think you
Mhm.
50-50'd playing as Luke and Peter for the most part.
So Peter Griffin he was an inspired character, but I didn't have a name for him. But he was basically going to be a criminal. He was he was supposed to be my alter ego, but I never came up with the name for him. So I was like, you know what? I love Family Guy, Peter Griffin, whatever. So I just spelled it differently, and that's what I rolled with.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin though was supposed to be my top character in SubmersivePodcast. That's who I was wanting to main for a while.
Yeah.
And then I did main him for a little bit, and then that's when we opened up Best Buds and all that stuff. But then that's when everything in the police started falling apart because
Fielsby wasn't around. He was in college.
Hillsby wasn't doing that stuff.
I was the only one running the police department, and Jenga made a
Jacob
cop
was
character,
yeah.
but he didn't fucking play him.
And so I was like, all right, well, I'll make a character, and that's where Luke Stevens came from. But Peter Griffin, I was wanting to stick with Peter for quite a while. That's why after 2.0, whenever I came back, I stuck with Peter more than anything.
Yeah. And Peter was a really good character because I played as a cop 99% of the time. Just so if there was any cops in the city, we could play as cops. And you played as Peter, and it gave us a consistent cop and a consistent criminal in the city. So that way, even if we were bored, I could chase you in my police car and you could drive around.
Yeah.
We could just fuck off. Or
Yeah.
we could just shoot at each other, and it wouldn't matter if someone hopped into the city because then there would be a cop and a criminal to go show
Yeah.
them stuff, and there would be a cop for them to have something to do. And we just waited for people all the time, or when we weren't waiting for people, we'd be standing in a corner somewhere working on dev shit. You'd be modeling cars and designing shit on Photoshop, and I'd be working on Photoshop, coding and fucking Googling shit and adding stuff to the city.
I think I spent 90% of my time as a cop too. So
Yeah. Well, towards the end there, you played Stephen Dredd and Jackson Black so much.
Jackson
There at
Black,
the
dude,
end.
that was a good character.
That was such a good
Jackson Black was
honestly,
good.
when I made him as kind of like a goofball character, and then like out of nowhere, everybody just kind of fell in love with him, and I kind of fell in love
goofy
with
voice. The goofy voice and the
So-
goofy character attitude was what did it. Like
I feel like Jackson Black and Peter Griffin had like the same flow.
him. Yeah,
Because they were like they were kind of hard asses. Like if cops started pressing up against them and stuff, they'd push back.
yep.
But they wasn't like straight up assholes to everybody. And,
Nope.
They just basically just wanted to get left alone. Don't fuck
No,
with them.
and they wanted to race.
Yep.
They love.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They
Oh,
love
love the
racing.
race.
I was about to say, I know a lot of your idea for Peter Griffin was the fact that you had gotten the Need for Speed R30
Yep.
or the Fast and Furious R34, and you had taken it and put it into Z Modeler and made it to where the stickers and stuff weren't on it anymore because you didn't like
Yep.
them, and you
No,
took,
you did that one.
or yeah, I took them off of
You were
there.
the one that debadged it.
But you took the decal that was on the
Yep.
original one, where it's supposed to be gray with the blue, and you turned the
Yep.
blue on it emissive, so
Emissive.
that way it would glow when you turned the car on. So if the car was off, you had it like a solid color to where
Yep.
it all matched, and when the car
It
turned
would.
on, it sprung to this glowing, beautiful fucking thing where it was the Need for Speed car with a completely different design and
Yep.
decal, or the same design and decal but with completely different colors, and it
Yep.
glowed, so it looked fucking awesome.
The only thing I didn't work out at the time was whenever I was doing emissive colors, I couldn't get the like when the stuff was off, it was always gray. I could never get it to where it would be like a tint of red or a tint of blue or whatever it was. And I think it was because the game's files wouldn't register it yet because there's no color on the card because it's a default. It's default.
Yeah.
So unless you went through and manually stuck the color on there, which is what we did at first, and that's why we wasn't allowed to change the color.
Mm-hmm.
Then once you figured it out and you went in and you fixed the coding with the collars,
Yeah.
where they was set back to default, then we was allowed to change the collars on it to whatever collars we wanted.
And with that, the character for Peter Griffin was like super into basically being Brian from Need for
Yeah.
Speed, and
Yeah.
he just wanted to race all the time and do street races and do little petty crimes here and there, like selling
And
drugs
then-
and shit.
Yep.
And
And
a
then,
lot of that was based on that.
And then I can't remember who it was, but somebody in DOW reached out and they were like, "Hey, we need another member." And I think I was selling dabs at the time. I was your dad's supplier.
Yeah,
And I
because you
think
guys
that's
were
where we
running.
went- yeah, that's where we went into partnership with, and then I just was accepted into DOW after that.
Yeah, because
And I ran with DOW since.
you were selling basically bud and different types of shit at the store, and my dad had the
Moon
dab
Rock.
lab,
Yep,
and you were like, I want dabs because I smoke dabs. So he ended up making you he would bring you a truck that had thousands
Yep.
of it in it at a time, where he would just go and sit down and spend like a couple hours just making it and talking to somebody. I think Sam and him did it a bunch, and they
Yep.
would just bring you a fucking truckload of dabs and just drop it off at the store, and you would sell out of it so fast because people would just come and buy the shit out of it whenever they were in the city.
And then it got to the point where I was like, I had so much product that I was bored waiting. So that's when we came up with the idea to put Best Buds mobile.
Yeah, and you had the
That was
food truck that was fucking. You had the food truck and the van that you were just selling them out of.
Well, the van I don't think I had. The food truck we did, but I don't think I used it that often.
No,
The main thing I was using was the backpack and the bike.
yeah, the backpack and the bike
Yep,
too.
the backpack and the
Because
bike.
we
is
had
what
ended
I
up
would always
finding
roll
a
around with.
custom. We made you a custom shirt like way
Yep.
early on, and then we got these backpacks in the city because we needed backpacks for like extra clothes and shit. And you were like, "Can we make one of these a Best Buds backpack?" I was like, "Well, I don't see
I
why
wanted to
not."
sell out of it.
Well, I don't see why not. So I fucking did it, and you put it in the city, and you were like, "Cool," because I'm gonna pretend that I have a backpack full of weed, and I'm gonna go sell it on the streets and do Best Bud Mobile. And I was like, "That's fucking genius." And we made you a
rolled with
card
it. Yep.
We made you
rolled
a
with it,
card.
made me a card.
that you could sit, like if the cops caught you selling on the streets, like 'cause I think you were selling to NPCs too, and you were like,
Yep.
"It's fine because I have this
Yep,
Best
same
Buds
person.
cards. I'm just doing shit for my business, so
Yep.
you can't stop me because I'm doing it legally. I'm just basically Uber Eats of selling fucking marijuana on the streets."
Because I think we came to an agreement that we would have been legal, but just for certain amounts.
Yeah, and it was a lot at the time, but that's because realistically, we didn't give a shit for weed
Yeah.
charges and shit because there was so many other gangs doing massive coke and meth, and there were multiple places where you could do it, and there was only like 2 places where you could do weed, and no one ever did them. Like every time I gave it to somebody, they never fucking used it. They always just went to you because it was just role play to have, and it was just
Yeah.
easier to go to you because it was already made. They didn't have to put in the effort for it, which a lot of people just they didn't put in the effort. And I can't say I blame them for something like that, but they were more focused on the stuff that made money because that's how a lot of people played. They were like, "Fuck it, what can make me
Yeah,
the
see-
most amount of money at the time?" And you
And
were like, I don't give a fuck because I'm getting all the
Yeah.
business and I'm making all the money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you could have worked with me.
Money
and-
wasn't even the issue. That's one of the things I was also trying to get through like people's heads whenever they were new coming to RP and all that in the city.
First question
I
is,
was
where
just
can
trying
I
to
make money?
Yeah, like I would always just try to explain like, listen, if you want to make money, there's easy ways to make money, but just don't let money be the only reason that you're wanting to do role play and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
have fun with
yeah,
doing
get
roleplay.
money because you want to get some cool stuff,
Yeah.
but don't
Yeah,
just
like you
make
want to go
that your
shopping
grind.
afterwards, and you want a good payday, then you can go spoil yourself.
Yeah, but get out and fucking explore and roleplay. And that's what we did so much. Like, we would just go find dumb shit to do. Like, when we put in
Yep.
skydiving in the city just so we could go fucking jump off the building and actually just fly around for no reason, or the airplane that took us up in the sky and dropped us out, even though it was like 2 seconds of dopamine where we jumped out and landed back on the ground. It was still fun to go do something like that.
It
Like,
was
hey,
fun.
do you want to go skydiving? We drive all the fuck way across the map,
Yep.
and we go hop in the airplane and take us up and drop us a couple of times, and then be like, all right, you want to go fishing? We could go fishing. Like, it's just
Hey,
be shit like
fishing
that.
was big. Fishing was really big. in
Dude,
the city.
fishing, I love
Fishing and
fishing.
camping.
I love fishing in real life, and I know a lot
do
of us
too.
do love fishing and
Yeah.
camping and shit. So it was something
Yeah.
that we could all do, where we put a lot of time and effort into actually making it worth going and doing. Like, so many good fishing scripts and a full-on camping script with putting up tents and setting up
Yeah.
campfires and tables and
trailers,
boom boxes and trailers and
Yeah, so you can haul
RVs.
ATVs.
We had fucking everything to go out and just have fun doing that type of
Yeah.
shit, and it was so
And
much
what was
fun.
crazy, like, don't get me wrong, because I know everyone like they want to do their own thing whenever they go to join, places and stuff. But like, if you join into a city, the first thing I would be asking is like, what's fun? What do
What's
you think is
fuck
fun in
making
this city?
money? What is fun to go out and do? Like, what can we go do to
If
have a
someone would
good
have said,
time?
listen, you can go buy you a cheap trailer, you can go buy you a cheap ATV. There's a camping crib, all that stuff. I would have been hooked.
Yeah.
I would have been all right.
I can't
So
tell you
do
how
I.
many times we did jump into other cities, and the first thing we would fucking go to do to see if it would make some money
Yep.
is go fishing. We're
Yep.
like, fuck you guys, fishing is cheap. Let's go get a car. Let's go fucking drive out to the middle of nowhere and just camp in the woods and see if anybody wants to join us. And
Yeah.
it never really happened. No one ever wanted to go do
Yeah,
that. They were too
I
busy
think
selling
we were
drugs
just a
and fucking
different-
gangbanging on the
we was a
streets.
different role play.
We was a different kind. We were a different breed, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose now it's time to talk about the man and the myth and the legend himself, the mutton chop
Yeah.
menace
The
on the
mutton
streets,
chops.
Mutton chops.
Mr.
Never
Luke
diss the mutton chops.
Stevens, where you have your name from and why we call you Luke.
And the asshole
Yeah, Luke
that
Stevens is an asshole.
that made a lot of people butthurt.
Pissed off.
This because he did
Yes.
his job too fucking.
Hey, listen.
You wanted a real cop. You called up Luke
Nobody. I was
Stevens.
gonna say nobody can say that I wasn't doing my job though.
He had
I
the
made
role play
sure-
mentality of a real cop.
Yes, and I will say,
And everybody hated
to
it.
my knowledge. To my knowledge, I don't know if anyone else could say.
Honestly, I can't talk shit because fucking I kind of put a
I was
little
about to-
bit of Luke Stevens in the Chief when
I
I
was
made
about
the
to
Chief.
say when you were chief, you were locking stuff down too.
Yeah.
But you were a little bit more lenient.
No, I
You
was a
let
little
some
bit more
people
lenient,
off
but
with some warnings and stuff. I would have ticketed him, especially if I didn't like him.
Luke Stevens as a cop was as realistic of a fucking cop as you could get, where he put his foot down on bullshit. Like, if
Yep.
you were doing something even a little stupid, he was putting you back in your fucking place and keeping the city in line, because people don't realize that if you get too lax being a cop, people walk all fucking over you. They don't give a shit. They're like, oh, this guy will just let me get away with it. That's why everybody loved having Kyle around, because Kyle would come in and he'd take a lot of shit. He'd act serious, but when it came down to everything else, he just didn't give a fuck. He was like, as long as the role play is going good, like, he's just gonna kind of brush shit off and give warnings and let people go so that way they can go back on their way. Luke, if he pulled you over, you were getting a fucking ticket or you were going to jail. And you were getting everything in the book that you could fucking get. You were getting speeding tickets if you weren't wearing a seatbelt. Like, he would find everything to hit you with, just because that was the type of character that he played as.
Yeah, Luke Stevens. So Luke Stevens was inspired by my grandpa. My grandpa was he was in Vietnam for a little bit. He came home. He did security for our capital where we live, and came into some money. He started living good. He was a retired police officer before he went to security. So that's basically where it came from, and that was one of his supporting things was his mutton chops, and that's why I put the mutton chops on Luke Stevens.
And
Now the hairstyle was mine, but yeah, Luke Stevens was inspired by my grandpa. He was a pretty cool man. I loved him, and that's basically where Luke Stevens came from.
I know also for your character, you ran canine, motorcycle,
Yep.
and interceptor.
Yep.
And you with the canine, always everybody fucking
Yep.
hated it because you were
Leroy
drug
Jenkins.
sniffing everybody, dude.
Leroy Jenkins.
I was about to say Leroy Jenkins was out there putting drugs off the streets and into the evidence lockers all day long, dude. Like there,
Yeah.
and if you tried to run, Leroy was on your ass, and Luke Stevens was a step behind, following you wherever the
Hey,
fuck you
I
went.
remember. I remember one of the last interactions that Luke had was actually with Chief. I think I just came back to the police force. I think Chief wanted to make me sergeant.
Sergeant.
Sergeant, and I said I didn't want to go anything above sergeant.
Right.
So he made me sergeant, and I remember he gave me a K9 unit again, and there was somebody over in the courthouse doing, I don't know what he was doing. He was like running around naked with a knife or something. Or no, it was the naked man that had his a dildo in his holster,
That's
and he was
right.
running around
Yeah.
stabbing people or something like that. And I pulled Leroy out, sick Leroy on him, fucking Leroy bit the shit out of him, and he was able to arrest him and stuff. So Luke Stevens, he was always, I don't know, when I made the character, I didn't really want to play as him that much. I was into Peter at the time. And then y'all said y'all needed some help with the police stuff. So I was like, yeah, I bet. Let me do it.
Yeah.
So I just started getting there. And then I don't know, I just fell in love with it.
We learned so much shit about actually being cops that we could have actually been cops. I mean, we jumped from
Yeah.
city to city, climbing the ranks in different police
Yeah.
forces when
Oh,
Subversive was
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
We fucking absolutely destroyed police departments because we try to whip them into shape, and we'd get them pretty close, and then someone would come along and fuck something up and piss us off,
Yep.
and we'd be like, well, we don't want to deal with this no more. We just dip out.
That was like, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I don't really care. That's like high pixel.
Yeah.
We all went to high. I think I pulled y'all there, didn't I?
Bro.
Yeah, you pulled us
Did you
there
first?
Yeah.
because
You're the one that
I was
pulled
trying
us
to
there.
find a city to play in, and you said, well, I went over here because I was bored, and I just became a police officer, and then you got me over there, and I got Dwayne over there, and then we also got Jacob over there at the same time.
Yep.
And we all went over there and did that, and there was just
It was fun at
fucking...
first.
Oh, man.
there was dumb shit going on, but we had fun, and then...
Yeah, it was fun.
What did
It was good
I think
shootouts.
what did it for me was when we all got in the chase. You got tased out of the car.
Oh no, that was Jacob. That was when
Jacob,
no,
yeah, Jacob.
Yeah, it was Jacob that got tased.
Jacob got
And then
tased
as
out of
y'all
the
went to
car.
run, he got shot.
Yeah.
They shot y'all.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
just
no,
shot you
right?
guys in the fucking back.
Right, no,
Is that the one
somebody
you're talking about?
yeah, somebody got pulled out of the car. Jacob jumped in the front and took off. I was in the back seat, and then that's when I got out of the car. We stopped on the highway. I got out of the car to run, and I just got blasted in the back of the dome, and so did
Yeah,
Jacob.
those motherfuckers just shot
Yeah.
the shit out of him. And you guys sent me that clip, and I was mind blown.
Bro.
Dude, it got to the point where I was getting mad at the higher ups just because of what they was doing.
Because they
Like-
didn't care.
Well, they pretended to care because they came into the city saying like, "Oh, we're going to whip this stuff in shape." And I'm not gonna lie, they did some stuff at first, but then
Yeah,
you started slacking and showing favoritism, and
Yeah.
then you started not caring about it, and
so
Like-
I'm going to tell a story about it. Basically, what had happened was... what had happened was that we had joined the city just as a new chief, a new assistant chief, and a new lieutenant, sergeant, and major had joined
Yep.
the city, and they brought in their own set of SOPs, all this documentation and stuff that you always bring into every city. It's like pretty much how every city gets fucked up is they add a whole new list of fucking bullshit that someone auto-generated on fucking or typed out from random garble. And they had brought it in, and they had started implementing it, and they set up all these SOPs, and they were trying to do training, and they brought in a whole fucking pack of vehicles that Nuke had dropped in the city and was like, this is exactly what we want for our police force. And they were like, well, we're going to start setting up the interceptors. And they sent off a bunch of people to train, and were training these cops like ass. Like, they did a training day that was cool, and it worked, and it was good for role play. But then afterwards, the fucking FTO system just fell apart. You could barely get any of them on, and the ones that were on didn't fucking know shit and were too busy driving around with the chief and stuff because they were buddy-buddy with him.
Yep.
The
Yep.
chief was driving around in fucking
that
a
was one of the
pink
biggest
sports
issues.
car with all of the FTOs and shit in it at one point in time, or every other day he would just be in a car with all the FTOs and all the higher-ups driving around dicking off. They had no room to pick anybody else up, and they didn't do fucking anything. And
it
so
wasn't
when we were
sorry,
actually...
I want to cut you off. It wasn't even FTOs on some days. It was just random civilians.
Random
Yeah.
civilians,
There was two
low-ranking
girls. There was
police
two girls that got in
officers,
the car.
like regular officers that had just been promoted to officers that he had hired onto the police force to add like diversity were on there. And my biggest issue with it is that you and I would be out there on the streets. Like if you saw Luke Stevens and Kyle Danger coming, you knew you were fucked because we had shit locked down. Then you had the other motherfuckers show up and were like, we're taking over the scene now, or you guys do this, and they would try to like make us do shit, and we're like, dude, we've been here. You guys got a call like 10 minutes ago, and you were dicking off at the hospital, dropping a fucking somebody you ran over off, or whatever the fuck they were doing. And we go show up at the scene, we'd lock it down, we get primary and secondary, we get everybody lined up, and then these fucking... all the interceptors would show off, and there were a bunch of douchebags that would just be like, oh, we got the fast cars, and we know how to drive and shoot and shit, and blah, 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 blah. PD on top. And they would just come in and screw the whole fucking scene up. And then they'd lose this fucking... they'd have cars that went so fast that they'd lose them even in the interceptors. And because they couldn't drive, they were just fucking showing off and shit.
I understand it, you know, from a standpoint, because I've seen people in no pixel and all that stuff, how they used to operate. You know, some stuff like that happens, and I get it. But when it gets to a point when you come in here and you try to say, like, hey, this is what's going to happen, we're going to bring in these SOPs, we're going to lock shit down, police department's going to get tighter and all this shit, but then you turn around and go in the city and fuck off and not really care, like, bro, that shows weakness. Like, we're not going to take you serious.
It's so unfortunate.
Honestly,
and it would have been good too. If, in my opinion, I know y'all know who this is, Woody. My opinion, I think if Woody would have if he would have went on vacation and he would have got the police department by himself, I think he honestly probably would have fixed it.
Yeah.
Woody was a good man.
I was gonna say, I feel like Submersive probably had one of the better police forces in
100%,
all of
100%.
5M.
Like
100%. We were probably the best role play police force that's probably on.
It's because I spent so long telling everybody in intricate detail and working with them one-on-one how to actually do the role play police job. Like, there's different ways you can do it, but there's a general consensus on what you should fucking do and what you need to do, and nobody teaches that in another police department. They don't sit down and one-on-one you. They take you through a little checklist, and they're like, all right, now fuck off. We had the checklist. We also taught you shit that wasn't on that checklist on what you actually needed to understand about being a cop in the city and understanding the role play, because it's one thing to just run around and be like, I have a badge and a gun and sirens and handcuffs. But it's another thing to know how to actually do and be that character, because if you don't, you're just a crim that has enhanced powers. Like, you're a superhero crim, basically, that can do whatever the fuck they want. And cities like that, PD does become their own gang, because they'll just get into shootouts with people and not give a fuck. Right. They have all the power. They can say and do whatever they want. And they control the whole fucking thing because they have all the extra resources, all the extra power, and all the numbers because of how many people they have to get on in order to actually combat the criminal system.
That's just like the gang. I don't remember what they was called in the city, but that's just like that gang.
GSF?
They were sitting there just popping off shots, and they didn't care. And we're like, "Hey, can we respond?" They're like, "Nah, don't respond to it." Like,
I still have clips of them.
So you're letting a gang run your city, and you're trying to come in as a cop and say we're going to lock this stuff down.
Right.
It's because
but
But
it's because the owner of the city was the leader of that gang, and if anybody in the gang wanted to be a crybaby bitch, they could DM him and be like, PD's doing this, I'm mad and butthurt, tell them to stop, and then he would DM like the chief or something, and the chief would fucking go tell everybody else, just let him go, or whatever the fuck.
And we were stubborn and we never fucking did it. Either.
No, me and you were like, fuck that. Nope. We were like, fuck that, dude. There's no way you can let them get away with that.
Fire me?
Like, it was the dumbest fucking thing of trying to control other cities, but that was why I worked so hard on making my city the best it could be, was because I didn't want someone to come into the police department and be like, I want to quit because this isn't going the way I want it to go. I don't think we ever had anybody quit. And I only ever had to fire one person that would step out of line, and that was because it was his own fault. He wanted to be a know-it-all, and I get it. That's just his personality in real life, and I hold no grudges against him for that. But at the same time, he had a way of.
You gonna mention?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. I know you both know exactly. Everybody knows exactly who I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
know who you're talking about.
If he is watching the stream or he watches the video, he'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put him on blast like that.
Right.
But he just had caused issues with everybody. He butted heads with everyone, and he wanted to be a know-it-all and say he knew all this stuff. And it caused issues where people just disliked him and disdained him, or he would make a mistake. And because everybody didn't like him because of whatever issues they had, it would just turn to this big catastrophe, and then it would just blow up.
I will mention real quick, just because I don't hold any bad will against him. If you want me to be honest, the person who I hold bad will against is Jenga, straight up.
I do as well, because he dipped on us and didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
And he
and
decided
dipped
to be a prick at
with
the end.
shit. Like, nah, man. Like, you just can't do that. That's fucked up.
It really is. Like,
But
we gave him an opportunity and a chance to grow, and he stole a bunch of shit and then dipped out.
I'll
And
say
ignored
this
us.
though. I'll say that I know who you're talking about, and I'm gonna mention it. But Dillsby was good. He was good.
He's good.
I would think that his problem is that I don't think he put too much care into his character, but I think he still wanted, to do the whole role play aspect. And
my thing
and
is
he
cared about his character, but he didn't care about everything else.
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted to role play, and I can understand that. But at the same time, he wanted to be an admin, and he didn't want to do anything admin-wise. He just wanted to have the power so he could do what he wanted and play as his character. He didn't want to deal with any of the responsibilities, which I understand.
And there at the end, that's why I told him, I was like, listen, you're the leader of the police. We need to start locking stuff down. If you can't do it, it ain't no big deal. Just let me know, because then I'll run and I'll take over for you. And he kind of got a little bit butthurt, which I can understand it and stuff. But it's like, dude, I would have much rather have seen, what was his DJ's name?
DJ Marshmallow. Or DJ Smoke. DJ Smoke.
Yeah, DJ Smoke. I would have much rather have seen DJ Smoke or somebody come back.
Because he had the marshmallow head.
Bring something to the city. Not just get butthurt and leave, dude.
Yeah. And a lot of his deal was he went off to college. And I still talk to him every now and then. So, like, he couldn't do any of the things that we were working on at the time. He just wanted to get in and play every once in a while. Yeah. And he had all these... Cool. He is cool.
Me and Thilsby hung out for a little bit, even without y'all. Me and Thilsby was working on some clothes together a little bit. We've been working on a little bit.
I still have his hat pack. I still have his hat.
Yeah, like he was a cool dude and stuff. It's just, I think he let his butt get hurt a little bit too much. But it happens. It happens to everyone.
So, my last topic here is going to kind of transition into two topics, but it kind of describes what we're doing now. So, I know that we haven't played 5M. Well, you still play 5M. Not as much, obviously.
Me?
But, yeah. No, you don't play 5M anymore? I thought you still had it downloaded and stuff.
Nope, I deleted that. I don't play 5M at all.
Well, I know all of us, then, are no longer playing 5M, which gives us lots of opportunities to play other games. So, my little blip here says, future of gaming / game interests. And I kind of want to start by saying that game interest-wise, we've been playing a lot of the same games together. All of us we've been playing Rainbow Six. Dwayne and I just got into Repo. Luke and I are going to play Call of the Wild up soon. We've been playing Elden Ring. We've been playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I mean, there's a lot of games that we've been playing together that we really enjoy playing because, like, it's just so much fucking fun to hang out and chill.
I would honestly say,
Blood
like, us three right here.
Yeah, Blood Hunt too.
I think us three right here are probably like the three biggest faces of Submersive at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, your dad and them, they're in the background. They're the big bosses. They're the big dogs.
You don't see the CEO. You see everybody that's running everybody that's management. Yeah. So, my topic is future games that you guys are interested in playing or want to play. That way we can do part of my second part of the topic here, and games that you are enjoying right now. Because we've been talking about Night Rain, a lot. We've been talking about what are some of the other games we've been talking about playing? I want to play Helldivers really bad because it looks super
Baldur's
fucking
Gate.
fun. Baldur's Gate's a game we're going to be playing soon for the
But
D&D role
you've already
play.
played that. I haven't though.
Yeah.
I want to play it. So
Like,
but I'll let mine go first.
No,
I want to hear his thoughts
on what? My thoughts on what?
on your the games that you want to play.
Games I want to play.
or games that you are playing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm games I am
Let me
playing.
ask you. Let me ask you one better. What's up with what's that punk game?
Fragpunk.
Yeah, Fragpunk. What's up with that? Tell me about that because I've never seen it.
I don't know, man. I played it with Juan. It's fun. It's definitely a good game. It's something that I would definitely play with my friends. It's not something I would play every day though. It's just one of
So what's
those
it about though? Is it just
average
like a
fun games.
5v5?
It's
It looks a lot like Valorant.
Yeah.
To me, it looks a lot like Valorant. And Overwatch had a baby, and it's the I don't know how much I know about it because I've seen YouTube videos and stuff. But you got these playing cards that give you power. It's kind of like Valorant with playing cards that give you abilities, as far as I know. I haven't played it, so I couldn't tell you.
I've seen him playing it a little bit. And I've never even seen an ad on it or nothing. That's why I
Well,
was
like I
this
said,
is new.
it was a fun game.
But it looked cool. I mean, it looked like it would be fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun
was really
game.
cool.
But it's not something that it's not a game that I would find myself playing every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how I play Siege all the time, or how I would play like Ghost Recon Breakpoint or For Honor. Those are games that I play almost every day or every other day at least, you know? So, but the game I'm waiting on the most right now that I think I want to get back into Elden Ring, but I'm waiting for Dune to come out.
Yeah.
My dad
Dune
is too.
Awakening.
My dad is too. He is so fucking excited. It's supposed to drop at the end of this month, like coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's supposed to be, I think, June 10th. It's supposed to come out.
Well, it's the end of the month right now, isn't it? It's the 31st.
Yeah, it's supposed to be early access release this upcoming week, and then I think it's supposed to be fully out in I don't know if it's alpha or beta. I couldn't tell you. My dad would tell you. My dad would go on and on about it, but he's excited because it's actually going to come out to where you can play it. I think on June 10th.
Yeah.
I have to look on Steam.
I'll probably be streaming the shit out of it, and I'll probably be doing. I'll probably pull some 24-hour streams on it, shit like that. We'll see.
So what about you, Mr. Luke? What games are you playing, and what are you looking forward to?
I haven't really been playing a lot of games here lately. I have a lot of games downloaded, but obviously Elden Ring. Me and you've been playing through Elden Ring a lot lately.
Just started playing through it again.
Yeah, Elden Ring is one of my favorite games now. We've obviously been playing some Breakpoint together, Rainbow Six, stuff like that. My other games that I play off without Joe is I like simulation games. So I'm playing Gold Mining Simulator. There's PC Building Simulator, Grocery Store Simulator. I've been playing the Isle a lot. We're about to start getting into some Call of the Wild, and I was also this is one of the games that I fell in love with not too long ago, but Star Citizen.
Star Citizen's good.
Star Citizen is really, really good. And don't get me wrong, it gets a little tedious and boring if you don't have anyone to play with. I played it for about a month solid, not playing any other game, and it was something else, man. That game is.
It's super good. The graphics, the design, the game idea itself are all crazy. I still can't believe it's been in testing, and it's not even a finished game, and it's been out for like 13 years.
Yeah, it's been out. I think it's been out. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's been out since 2018. I think that's as far as it's. Let me look at it.
It's been out a lot longer than that. Star Citizen's been out for I think a full fucking decade at this point. Another game that I want to talk about while he's looking that up is Dwayne and Juan played Schedule 1, and you and your buddy played Schedule 1, and I have seen so much fucking content on Schedule 1, but I don't have the game, and I want to get it so I can fucking play Schedule 1.
Hey, I got Schedule 1 too.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You and Dwayne have played it. I have not played it. I want to play it so fucking bad. I think it'd be great for me, you, and Dwayne to get on and fucking play.
Now, let me just tell you this though ahead of time, because the game is it's a fun game. It's a cool chill game. Definitely a game for streaming and stuff.
It's definitely
It's
content.
not really a game. Yeah, it's not really a game that you want to get on and
Play
really
every
just play
day
by yourself.
or play
Yeah,
by
or play
yourself.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
It's
want to play it
unless
for
you like
the
the grindy
enjoyment.
yeah,
ass, unless you like the grind.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. On my main save, I have my net width to like 395k right now. I have my barn is completely manufacturing meth, and my warehouse is completely manufacturing cocaine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
So
been grinding.
I
yes,
have
but I started 2 other saves. My third save, which is the one that I've been playing now, which is called High Times. It's just a little petty dime bag dealer. That's all I've been doing on it. So it's a fun game, but
I'm more
yeah.
interested in it for my topic that I'm going to follow up on here, and it's that since we're now all of us are now streaming
let
and
me say this
recording
real quick
videos.
before you do that. Star Citizen came out. It says December 23rd of 2017.
2017, so it's been out
Yeah,
for
so it was a
almost
year.
a decade. I thought it was
Yeah.
out for a lot longer than that. I think I'm
I
probably
honestly,
thinking,
I thought it was as well. I was like sitting there second guessing myself. I was like, yeah, that actually does sound right.
but
But yeah, go ahead.
so obviously we've all started streaming. Mindless got into it before I did. Well, I can't say that because I was streaming for a long
You
time,
were
but he got
streaming
into
before
it.
me, but
He got into it recently, which made me want to start streaming again. And Luke was streaming on and off before that. And now that we're all streaming and we're all playing games together, and the whole collaborative streaming that you can do, where you can co-stream with everybody, is super fucking cool. And I want to play games with you guys and stream them to where we can make content, we can make videos and do stuff. And we've been doing it with Juan and his boy Steve as well. So I want to know like what is our plans, and I want to tell the community what our plans are for the future for streaming, because I'm still working on editing a few things on my channel, but I've pretty much got it finalized. Mindless is growing his channel to 50 followers to become affiliate.
Mindless has been doing pretty good on stream.
He's
Honestly,
going
if you
off.
want me to be honest, I'll go ahead. Don't hate me for this, Dwayne. You were the last person I thought that was going to go into streaming.
bro,
Yeah.
I did not think he
hey,
was going to
you
do
know
it.
what? I was the last person that thought I was gonna go into streaming
Hey,
too.
but you did it, dude. Like you stuck with it and you've been doing it. So I
Well,
mean,
I also
congrats.
never thought I would be RP and in 5M either. Like those
Oh,
are
that's true. I
things
never thought that either.
because, dude, when I never played games like that. When I was growing up, I played, single player games, or
Yep.
you brought your friend over to come
God of
stay the
War or something
night,
like that.
and you guys played together or something. And then I went to the military, and then I went to working on the road. So, like, I never really had a community style
Yeah.
play on side of things. So,
Yeah. I was
this
about to
is
say
all
when
new
Warzone came out
experience. It's
and
all new to
Fortnite,
me,
that's when
and I'm enjoying it, and I love it, and I'm meeting new wonderful people all the time.
all the time.
Fucking all the people that the guests that we're gonna be having, fucking. It's just been an amazing
Juan
ride.
and his whole community
Yeah,
that's been
Juan,
helping
his
you blow
whole
up.
amazing community. Shout out to Dr. Page and Dr. Juan, dude. Like that cat right there has been a rock.
Yeah, you need to introduce me to them one day, man.
Yeah, he's
I
a
was
cool cat.
I was intrigued to meet them the other day, and y'all, I think y'all ended your stream early or something, and then, but I would love to meet them
Yeah, it's
because y'all talk about them all the time.
Yeah,
it's
he's a
one of
cool
those
cat.
things where I never thought I would meet him either until Dwayne brought me in one day, and they played a lot of Fortnite together. I never played Fortnite with Juan, but they started playing. Was it Blood Hunt that you guys brought me into play?
I don't remember. If
There was a game that they brought me into play, and I wasn't streaming at the time. Dwayne was just like,
we were looking for
"Hey,
an extra.
yeah." He was like, "I'm looking for an extra, and I know you play games." And he was like, "This is the guy that does all my dev stuff. He works on all my things. He does all
Right,
my
and Juan
graphic
was like,
design.
cool, let's do it.
So he was like, "Yeah, bring him on. He just bring him in here, and we'll play some games." And I got in there and started playing games with him, and Dwayne and Juan had like clicked as soon as they met, and I kind of clicked with Juan because we both know a lot and we work hard about a lot of the stuff that we do for building our communities and stuff. And obviously, I've done that with building Submersive over the years and working with everybody on all the stuff that they use to build their channels and whatnot, because I've sat down, taken the time to do all of it, and fucking done all of the tedious work of looking everything up and fixing everything and delving deep into the sides of designing shit like the podcast itself, where we have stuff to do what it is we do. And it just is exciting to be able to stream and do that type of stuff and work with people like Juan and get you guys in here so that way we can do that type of thing.
Yeah, I never been into the whole streaming thing. I tried it whenever that was one of my passions growing up. I've always wanted to. Once I started watching all these like famous YouTubers and stuff, it's one thing I would love to do. No offense, I'd love to be able to sit on my ass, play games, and get paid for it.
Yeah.
Uh, but honestly, the Kickstarter for streaming was honestly y'all coming and saying that y'all was popping off on your streams and stuff again and stuff lately. I was like, yeah, well, maybe it's my time to get back into it.
Oh, yeah, man.
And got it started up.
Well, I am very excited, and I can't wait to stream with you guys some more.
Before we go, I have a question for you, Mr. David.
Yeah?
I have a topic for you, okay?
I like topics.
I want to know what your position is on would you ever reconsider opening up Submersive years down the road?
So, my biggest issue with that is the answer is no. And I hate to say it because Submersive was my baby.
I just want this to be a little clarification for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah. So, Submersive was my baby. It was my child, and I fucking took care of it for years. And I loved it, and I still love it, and I wish it wasn't gone. But the main issue is that I don't have all the time for it, and I get so stressed out and burnt out. Not even burnt out. I can't burn myself out on it. I will kill myself working on it to get people to have a good time because I want everybody to have a good time. Like, I hate to see it when people are sad or down or bored or not doing anything. I want to bring people together, and I want to have a community of people that are having fun. So we worked on Submersive to do that to where everybody could just get in and have a good time. And it got to the point where I didn't realize that while everybody was having a good time, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was fucking killing myself and working on things and letting everybody else take advantage of the fact that I was being kind and courteous and giving, and they would just abuse that care. And then I said, fuck all that, and I went and rebuilt Submersive into 3.0, Submersive Reimagined, before it shut down. And everybody was loving it. We were killing it. I dropped all the last of my work. I'd finally started to get into role-playing again and was getting back into it. And I was kind of just fixing a little bit of things here and there, and I could get in and play all that I wanted. I was playing with you as my crim character because we had enough cops in the city that I didn't have to worry about it anymore. I could actually do whatever I wanted, and I didn't have to run the police department full-time. I didn't have to fucking work on the city full-time. I could just do whatever I wanted. I could have fun for once.
I remember back in the day, that was one of our biggest issues. We tried to get it across to people. Dwayne's tried to get it across to people. Everyone's trying to get it across to people. Is that when devs are devs. I get it, but they want to play too. They want to RP, and you didn't get to do that really.
No, I got the short end of the stick every time.
It was so fun, and yeah, it was shit.
If someone ran into danger, it was, hey, this is broken, fix it.
Yep.
Every time. There was not a single time where I could just have a conversation with somebody and it not go out of character, which pissed me off so much because the reason I liked playing in other cities so much is nobody knew me. So I could be who I wanted to be, which was danger, and I could just do whatever the fuck I wanted and have as much fun as possible. But then you'd have issues with people being stupid, and it caused issues with the police department. Or when we didn't even play as police, we just go around and do stuff. It was still so much fun, but you deal with, like, the first time I ever got into High Picks, I was supposed to come find you. I made it away from Alta Street Apartments. I got ran up on by a group of clowns and stabbed to death. And then I was supposed to go in for the application. I got taken hostage in Alta Street Apartments parking lot after I ran back from the hospital on foot, which is halfway across the city. I got there. I got taken hostage by this really cool guy who also had like a super thick cowboy accent. And then I was taken hostage there, and we became like best buds in seconds. And they were pretty much like, well, now we don't want to take you hostage. So you just want to, like, get paid for this, and you can just pretend to be our hostage because we technically don't know you. And I was like, fuck it, yeah. And as soon as as soon as the cops left there, they took me down to the police station, and I applied for being a police officer. It just, stupid, goofy, fun stuff like that is what made me love doing role-playing. I wish I could still do it, but continuing what I was saying is that into December, I went on Christmas break because I was on Christmas break from actual work, and it was Christmas time. And I spent all my money from work getting Christmas presents for my family and going out and spending time with them. And just my mind was off the server. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that like on the 22nd or the 23rd that it was due. And I was so focused on Christmas that I didn't think, oh, I got to spend extra money on my game and make sure the city's running. And on like the 31st, Ball was like, hey, you're going to be getting ready to go back to work soon on the 2nd. When are you going to be working on the server again? Because someone so and so was asking about this, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll get on it. And I went home and didn't think about it, and was like, oh, I'll get on it the next day. Well, on the 1st of January, it had been a week after, uh, about a week after, maybe a day extra, that I hadn't paid for the server. And I went to get on there and go work on it, and the VPS desktop wouldn't open. And I was like, well, that's weird, maybe it's shut down. And I went and looked, and I opened up the streaming service that we were, or the hosting service that we were using, and it wasn't there. It was gone. Like, the server, whole fucking thing was gone. I couldn't even turn it on if I wanted to. So I opened a ticket and was like, yo, where is all my stuff at? This is like 3 years of hard work and dedication put into this, and it's gone. And he's like, well, the bill didn't get paid, and we wipe the desktops after a week if it doesn't get paid because people just leave them behind all the time. And I was like, is there any way to get my shit back? Because there's no way you just wiped it like that.
Yeah.
With all the money, I had fucking the service for like 3 years, and I collaborated with them all the time. Like, hey, we need this stuff fixed. You know, I appreciate you guys. You guys do super good work. This is why I'm sticking with you. This is why I'm putting my money into you and not some other service. And they just fucking threw all my shit away like that, and it killed my spirit. It made me feel like I lost a loved one.
I remember
was
you
so
just
sad.
spent a bunch of money too. On
I dropped
3.0 to get
$5
it back.
grand
I was gonna
of
say
my
it was
own
like
money
$5,
into
$6
rebuilding.
grand, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I had
I'd have
saved
been
up all my money that I was planning on doing other shit with. Like, me and the girl have been trying to go visit her parents in Alabama for over a year now. And I had saved up all that money and was like, nah, I want to rebuild the server because that's something I can do at home. And I dropped $2 grand into it. And then I had to drop another grand into it. And then another one. And another one to finish it out. And that way we could get everything that we wanted. And we were still missing a bunch of shit that I wanted to get, which was another 2 or 3 grand to put into it for unique stuff that we were going to add to, like, balance everything out. And when it died, and nobody knew. They just assumed that the city was down. And that night, I went and gathered up a bunch of pictures and videos and clips and stuff, and made
Still hits me.
basically the memorial for Submersive, and posted in the chat and was like, I didn't even really say anything. I just posted the video and just kind of went silent because I was sad after working on it. And dude, I full on cried about how sad it was.
I was about to say, dude, when you told me about that, dude, I was on the verge of crying, dude, because
it hurt my fucking feelings, man. It hurt my feelings so hard that it was just gone like that. There was nothing I could do.
You know,
So
I had so much love for Submersive. I even got a tattoo of it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I loved Submersive.
Honestly, I don't know what's changed or what got into you, but I'm glad you're back because this podcast, I think, lit something back up in you.
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen you this excited about something with the game or streaming or anything in a while. So
I'm very, very excited to be back, and I'm looking forward to see who else we're going to have on and what community members we can bring back around. So long answer made into a short conclusion is that no, Submersive roleplay is no longer. But the Submersive community will never fucking die.
Yes.
We are always around, and we're always going to be doing something. Even if we go quiet and dark for a while, we are coming back, and this podcast is doing just that. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the podcast. I want to say thank you so much for Mindless coming and joining us as my co-host.
Yes, sir.
And to our very, very special guest, the man, the myth, the legends, the mutton chop menace himself, Luke Stevens, for joining us today. You guys can find him on Assassin Hero 181 on Twitch. You can also find him Assassin Hero 181 on YouTube and a lot of other places as well. Guys, go give him a follow. Go give him a subscription on YouTube. Check his stuff out. He is so cool, and we really appreciate you for coming, man. You can find Mindless Kills on Twitch and on YouTube and on TikTok, and you can find me at Lord_Commander_Jorgen on Twitch, and you can find me at Lord Commander Jorgen on TikTok and YouTube, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate everybody for being here today. Much love, guys, and we are going to do some streaming and gaming here in just a little bit, so We will catch you guys later. Don't forget to check out our channels to see what we come up and what we create, guys. Everybody, peace and love. You guys have a good one. Thank you guys for joining me.
Later.